Just to welcome everyone, my name is Eric Lesser, State Senator from the 1st Hampden and Hampshire District, which is 90 miles west of here. I do want to thank and acknowledge our host today, State Senator Joe Boncore. Joe, thank you for your support. Also, Vice Chair of our Transportation Committee. We're here at South Station at the heart of Boston's financial district. And when you look at the board of destinations just above us, the schedule for the train service that comes in and out of here, thousands of people that come through this plaza every single day. There's one very important city missing, the third largest city in our Commonwealth, the anchor of our economy in the Pioneer Valley and in Western Massachusetts, and that's the city of Springfield. Eventually, if the group behind us continues to work hard to stay focused, the city of Springfield and the cities of Palmer and additional service in Worcester and Framingham will be added to that board, and thousands of people from every corner of our state will be able to take advantage of all the opportunity and all that there is to achieve both in the western part of the state, in the central part of Massachusetts, and in the eastern part of Massachusetts. So that is what we're doing today. We're kicking things off here in Boston. Then we are making our way to Framingham, one of the centers of the suburban Metro West economy, the home of iconic companies like Bose and Staples and TJX. From there, we're making our way to Worcester, proud industrial city that admittedly hit hard times, but is in the midst now of a renaissance around education, around healthcare, around investments in technology and bio and pharma innovations, largely as a result of the connections that were made in Worcester due to rail service. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later today. Then we're going to be making our way to Palmer, a former mill town on the eastern edges of Hampden County, a wonderful community known as the town of 7 railroads. Rail infrastructure anchored Palmer's economy for generations. It was a freight location. 7 railroads passed through and converged in Palmer. Rail service ended in Palmer in 1971, and now none of those trains stop there anymore. We're going to do a roundtable. We're going to meet with the wonderful people there, the business leaders and the civic and community leaders in Palmer, and we're going to learn what that meant when those rails stopped running in Palmer and what the potential for rail service will mean to Palmer and the broader Greater Palmer community. Then we're going to end with a rally for rail in Springfield's Union Station. Next week, after 40 years, Springfield's Union Station, a brand new intermodal transit facility that combines bus, both intercity and local bus service, north-south rail service from Connecticut into Vermont, and hopefully soon east-west service from Boston and eventually on to Pittsfield and Albany, will be converging at Springfield's Union Station, a historic moment for our city, and it could not come at a better time for broader development in Western Massachusetts. A new MBTA railcar facility will be opening next year in Springfield. The new cars for the MBTA trains that are just below us are going to be made in Springfield, but right now you can't take a train from Springfield to Boston, even though the trains are going to be made in Springfield. It also comes at a time when the new nearly $1 billion MGM resort and an entertainment complex will be opening. As we mentioned, the brand new Union Station, over $1 billion in total development will be coming online in Springfield in the next year and a half. We need rail service to stitch the benefits that are being made in the western part of the economy with the red-hot economy in the eastern part of the state. That's what this project is about. That's why this project is so important. And we're here because this is a pivotal moment in the history of this project and in the potential for us to make this a reality. Right now, the House and the Senate are in conference negotiations to include a feasibility study in the final FY18 budget. Our hope is that that budget proposal with rail included will be sent to the governor's desk and that the governor will sign it. We're hopeful that the governor will appreciate and understand how important this is for the entire state. You know, as you see a train unloading right now, Boston's economy right now is red hot. But the single biggest challenge the Boston area faces is out of control cost of living, out of control congestion, out of control cost of housing. The single biggest challenge we have in the western part of the state, quite frankly, is an economy that is leaving us behind. Too many of our young people, too many of our kids, too many of our families have to leave to find work. There aren't enough good paying jobs. but we have a great quality of life. It's a great place to live, and we have a relatively low cost of housing. There is immense and tremendous and transformative potential for an exchange to happen. Boston gets access to lower cost housing, great quality of life, a lot more open space. Western Massachusetts gets access to the dynamic and growing and red hot tech and innovation and education focused economy we see here in Boston. This is not something new. Linking regions, economic regions together via rail, via reliable, fast transportation has been done all over the world. Quite frankly, they're doing it in China. They're doing it in Eastern Europe. They're doing it in Africa. We can do it in Massachusetts too, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're kicking off this event today. It's worth noting we will not be taking this whistle stop tour by train. We are going to be taking the train to Framingham, but then we're driving. And we would love to take a train, but the reason we're driving is because there is no reliable, accessible rail service right now connecting the three largest cities in our state, Springfield, Worcester, and Boston, with commuter rail service. So I want to thank everyone who's here. I want to make just some quick introductions before I turn it over to Senator Boncory. Where is Clint Richmond from Sierra Club? Clint's right behind us. Thank you to the Sierra Club for their support. I want to thank Rep. Russ Bussinger from the North-South Rail Link Alliance for their support. We understand that the North-South Rail Link connecting North Station and South Station and East-West Rail connecting Springfield, Worcester, and Boston by rail are interconnected. It's about creating a transformative and comprehensive approach to rail and mass transit for the entire state that benefits everyone in the state, no matter where they might live. I also want to give a special thank you to MassDOT, Massachusetts Department of Transportation. I saw Jim Kirsten in the back. Thank you, Jim, for your support. We're also joined by our friends from the Boston Chamber of Commerce, Kristen Graciago and Terrence Burke. Where are Kristen and Terrence? Thank you for your support. It's worth pointing out the Boston Chamber of Commerce supports Springfield, Worcester, Boston Rail, as does, of course, the Worcester Chamber and the Springfield Chamber. The reason all three chambers of commerce representing the business communities in all three locations support this initiative is because they understand that it is essential to attracting and retaining talent and attracting and retaining businesses in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we thank them for their support and their partnership. And I want to give also a special recognition and thanks to our friend, a good friend of mine, a great ally on these issues, Chris Dempsey and his whole team from Transportation for Mass. We appreciate you being here. And I also want to give a special thank you and recognition to my friend, Senator Linda Dorsina-Forey. It's important to note that both Senator Forey, Senator Boncory, and actually the entire Senate has been very supportive of this project now 3 years in a row. This bill passed 38-0. It includes co-sponsors who are Democrats. It includes co-sponsors who are Republicans. The reason it's achieved such unanimous bipartisan support is because this isn't a Republican issue and this isn't a Democratic issue. This is an issue about stitching together every community in our state and connecting populations that have been left out of the Massachusetts story for too long, connecting everybody and giving them equal chance and shot and opportunity to live out their God-given potential. So with that, I will kick it over and hand it over to Senator Boncory, our host for today.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to Boston's historic South Station. It's wonderful to be with you all here today to kick off this rally for rail. It's really an exciting project. I too want to thank Jim Kirsten from MassDOT for helping put this together. I want to thank our friends from Transportation for Mass and Chris Dempsey for being here, as well as Clint Richmond from the Sierra Club, the Boston Chamber of Commerce for joining us for this very important issue. I further want to thank my dear friend, Senator Eric Lesser, for his leadership on this very important issue to our Commonwealth. Senator Lesser has taken up the mantle. He's been the lead sponsor on a feasibility study, which is such a crucial and critical step in ensuring that East-West Rail Link comes to the Commonwealth. East-West Rail Link is a major step towards modernizing the Commonwealth's infrastructure system. While the Commonwealth leads in so many standards, we know that the state's severely lacking in the transportation sector. Just recently, U.S. News and World Report ranked Massachusetts 45th in transportation infrastructure. This is something as leaders of the Commonwealth, as legislators in the Commonwealth, we can't allow to continue. This connection in East-West Link will be a major boon for the Commonwealth. It will spur development in Western Massachusetts. But I think that it's symbolic today that I'm joined here by my dear friend, Senator Linda Dorsina-Forey from the Boston delegation. Because the Boston delegation, Senator Forey and myself, understand that this is not just a boon for Western Mass, but it's severely needed in Boston to continue our development. As Senator Lesser alluded to, we're facing in Boston a severe housing crisis. There's a shortage of housing. Housing is just prices and costs are rising. We're right here in the district that has the highest rent values in the entire Commonwealth. We also understand we have an aging workforce in the city of Boston, and we need help. And our help is to the west. In growing the East-West Rail Link will ensure that that the city of Boston has a growing and younger workforce. Continued support for East-West Rail Link and dedicating new sources of revenue towards this project and projects like it will ensure that our Commonwealth will have a modern transportation system and will support a dynamic economy into the 21st century for not just the West, but the East as well, and it will support our entire Commonwealth. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Senator Boncory. Now it's my pleasure to introduce a great friend and great ally on these issues, Senator Dorsina-Forey. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome, Eric. Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here with all of you and to be here with my colleagues. I want to thank Senator Eric Lesser for his leadership in putting together this East Rail, what is it? It's a whistle stop across the Commonwealth. Very, very important. I want to thank Senator Joe Boncory, where we stand right here in his district, and also the Chris Squared, right? Thank you, Chris Dempsey and Chris Richmond. Thank you so much for being here. But why is this important? This is important because we're coming together and say the East-West Rail Link is critical. It is critical to our Commonwealth. Yes, I represent Boston along with Senator Boncory, but we know this is a whole state, and we know it is about connecting opportunities when we talk about job creation as our manufacturing sector continues to grow and continues to become quite dynamic. It's how are we connecting our entrepreneurs and the businesses that are on the waterfront in South Boston, where I represent, to these manufacturing firms, where their products are being developed right here in our Commonwealth. This is about jobs. When we talk about infrastructure and connecting this East-West link rail, very, very important because it would create jobs, but more importantly, it will connect communities. Very, very important. There are 351 cities and towns here in our great Commonwealth. And as Senator Lesser said, Springfield, one of the large cities in our state, is not connected. We want to make sure that they are, because the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has invested so much money in the city of Springfield. And so we want to make sure that this is a reality. But we know housing continues to rise everywhere. But I can tell you, as the former chair of housing, we need our cities and towns to meet the 10% of their affordable housing stock that is required by the laws in our books. And so having housing that's affordable around the Commonwealth, connecting people by rail so they could get to and from work, but connecting people by communities is so critical when we talk about what is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We are one Commonwealth here in our state, but how are we making sure that opportunities in Boston are shared with others around our great state? And that's why this is important. And we're all saying in one voice that the feasibility study for the East-West Rail Link is critical, that it makes it through the conference committee, that it gets to the governor's desk, so we can make sure that this is a feasibility study to see, is this possible? What is the reality? We say it is possible. It's going to take money, but we believe in infrastructure. We believe in investment. For decades, we've walked away from our stations and our rail links and our buses, but I can tell you that there is an incredible, MassDOT has done a great job as we work collaboratively on all issues around transportation in my district in Boston, but we want to make sure that other communities communities around our great Commonwealth benefit as well. And connecting Framingham and Worcester and Springfield to here in South Station in Boston is so, so important. Because when we talk about the precision manufacturing that is happening, when we talk about bio, when we talk about life sciences, when we talk about the entrepreneurs and these businesses, these small businesses that are growing and creating here in our state, here in Boston, we want to make sure that when they're building products, we want it built in Massachusetts. You know, we're a little selfish. We don't want it to go out of state. We don't even want it to go out of the country. We want it built right here in Massachusetts, and this is a way we'll be able to do that, is by connecting and finally delivering on the East-West rail link. Okay, so thank you all so much. This is awesome, but it's going to take a lot of work from us, you know, to make sure we reach out, that the feasibility study makes it in the overall, you know, budget that's going to be coming out, and that it gets to the governor's desk, and that it's signed and not vetoed. Very, very important. This is not asking for money right now, right? It's a study to see, is it even feasible? We say it is, because it is about connecting people and connecting our folks, you know, to jobs and opportunities, because that's what it's about when we see what's happening in our great state. Folks just want to work. They want to be able to put a roof over their heads and pay their mortgage. They want to put their kids in great schools. They want to put food on their table, and this is an opportunity to do that. So thank you all for coming out this morning.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Forey. Next up is Clint Richmond from the Sierra Club to talk about the environmental elements of this project. Thank you, Clint.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Clint Richmond. I'm here to represent the Massachusetts Sierra Club. I'm proud to be able to say a few remarks because I have deep family roots in Western Massachusetts. I come from a long line of Brewsters from this part of the state. My message is short and simple. We need balanced transportation across the Commonwealth. Our highways are over capacity. We need to get cars off the road to reduce air pollution and to reduce our use of fossil fuels. Mass transportation is an environmental issue. We need good freight and passenger rail access to all parts of the state, from the Cape to the Berkshires. Today, the Sierra Club is here advocating to restore high-quality rail service between Worcester and Springfield, the second and fourth largest cities in New England. This 54-mile line extends the Boston, Framingham, Worcester line and leverages our investment with our partner, the state of Connecticut, in the Knowledge Corridor from New Haven to Greenfield. This route can provide a resilient inland alternative to the crowded Northeast Corridor, the most popular train line in the country. Let's continue our state and regional leadership in passenger rail. Let's complete this study. Let's get moving. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, very well done. So next up, I'd like to introduce a friend of mine, a great ally for transportation issues. He leads an organization called Transportation for Massachusetts. And something that's very important on that is it's Transportation for Massachusetts. And one of the things that's very important about this rail link and this project is Massachusetts means all of Massachusetts and all the communities in our Commonwealth, everyone who pays taxes and supports our state government and our infrastructure, and everyone who stands to benefit from this rail link, because this is truly a transformative project that would benefit every corner of our Commonwealth, from Western Mass to Boston proper and all the communities in between. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Chris Dempsey from Transportation for Mass.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning. My name is Chris Dempsey. I'm the Director of Transportation for Massachusetts, which is a coalition of more than 50 organizations, as the Senator said, statewide, that are advocating for better and smarter transportation policies and more investment, from the Berkshires to Provincetown. You know, as we've stood here today at rush hour in South Station, I've thought about the turn of the last century, when the legislature commissioned the bridge that we now call the Longfellow Bridge. When they wrote that legislation to build that bridge, they required that the bridge be built wider than the needs they had for those days, because they thought that in the future there might be a need for a rail line over that bridge. They were willing to spend more then to make that investment for what ultimately became the Red Line between downtown Boston and Harvard Square. Think about all of the jobs that have been created from that investment. Think about what Kendall Square is today, what Harvard Square is today, because the legislature at the turn of the last century thought about making that investment. What the Massachusetts State Senate is doing now, led by Senator Lesser and the Senate President, is thinking about those same types of legacy generational investments. Why can't Springfield be the next Kendall Square? It already has education as a base. It already has a skilled workforce. And we can link Boston and Springfield in the same way that prior generations linked Boston and Kendall Square. So we applaud Senator Lesser and the Massachusetts State Senate for thinking ahead, for understanding the enormity of the transportation challenges that we have statewide, and saying, look, let's think big and boldly about what our state can be and how we can connect every corner of this state. We applaud Senator Lesser. We again thank the Massachusetts State Senate for their leadership on this. We thank them for the invitation to speak today, and we look forward to seeing the rest of the Whistle Stop Tour. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for those incredible remarks. So in conclusion, people often ask, why now? Why do we need to do this project now? Why can't we wait? Why can't we push this off? Why can't we wait for some other time, some other place, some other situation? And my response to that is we can't afford not to do this. The 617 area code is booming, but there are a lot of people in the Boston area who have not been included in that growth. Part of the reason is out-of-control housing costs, as Senator Dorsina-Fori so eloquently explained. Part of the reason is congestion. People can't get to the available jobs. Well, we have a very different, but nonetheless very dynamic economy in Western Mass. One focus around manufacturing, one focus around precision machining. We have iconic companies in Western Mass: Pratt & Whitney, Smith & Wesson, Mass Mutual, an incredible advanced machining economy that is the envy of the world. There is an immense missed opportunity if we don't do the work we need to do to connect the workforce in Western Massachusetts with the workforce in Eastern Massachusetts and benefit and enjoy the synergies that will come from both. We need to change the course we're on. If you leave the 617 area code, what you see is families that are struggling, people who feel like they cannot stay in Massachusetts, they cannot stay close to home where they grew up, they can't raise their own families where they were raised because there are not enough opportunities, there is not enough access to good jobs. That is a shame because it's preventable. It's preventable if we do the big things that we need to do, if we have the vision to make the investments we need to make to see beyond the corner and say, no, we're not a collection of different cities. Springfield is not separate from Boston. Boston is not separate from Worcester. Palmer is not separate from Framingham. We are one community, one Commonwealth. We rise and fall together. And you know what? The benefits will help everyone. It will lift all boats because what Boston needs, Springfield can offer. What Springfield needs, Boston can offer, and vice versa. And that's what's so exciting about this project. And that's why we hope that the governor will sign this feasibility study and give us the information we need to move this project forward and make it a reality. And then one more point just about why a feasibility study in particular is so important. And we have some transportation experts here and advocates who can talk about this in a little bit more detail. We understand that this is obviously a long-term project. No one is pretending that this is going to be something easy or that it can be done on the cheap. But what we need is a feasibility study to begin the process of marshaling federal support, of marshaling additional state support, of leveraging private sector investment and involvement. If we don't have that study, none of that can happen. None of that can begin. And if you look at the other transformational projects around our state, going back to the Longfellow Bridge that Chris so eloquently discussed, or you look at the Green Line extension, or you look at the expansions and the other projects that have happened right here at South Station. They begin with a vision and they begin with a study, and then you go out and you build the support on a state and on a federal and on a private sector level to get those resources. If we don't have that study, we cannot begin that process. So this is a critically important step, but it is just the beginning of what will be a long process to unite this Commonwealth and make sure that every family, no matter where they live, whether it's Springfield or Palmer or Boston or anywhere in between or anywhere north and south, has the ability to live out their God-given potential. Thank you so much for being here, and our next stop is going to be Framingham.